TC3, welcome to another episode of, well, today it's Baking with Jenae and Miles. We want to wish all the moms a happy Mother's Day for you guys, and especially for you single moms out there. We want to wish you a happy Mother's Day as well. We want to thank you just for being brave, for being courageous, for being selfless, and for being the women that God has called you to be. And so, happy Mother's Day to you. We have something very special specifically for you today. But before we dive into that, we want to introduce you to our two guests. So, boys, can you tell everybody your name, your grade, and where you go to school? How about you go first?
My name is Peyton. I'm Asian, and I go to Jensen Beach High School, and I'm 17.
I'm Tristan. I'm 17, and I go to Jensen Beach.
He's also Asian.
Awesome. Well, thank you too. We have two awesome Asians on the show. They are absolutely amazing. They're slightly disappointed that we're not making pho today, but maybe we'll have them or even their mom back on the show to teach us how to make pho. How do you feel about that? Pho is amazing. If you haven't had pho yet, you might want to check out Pho 772. Anyway, no more plugs, but today we're gonna make Banana Foster Waffles. If you don't know what Banana Foster is, keep watching. You're gonna wanna learn husbands, sons, daughters, simple recipe that you can make for your mom. We know it's Sunday evening, but you can make it for Monday morning or even have breakfast for dinner tonight. But before we dive into this recipe, you're gonna need to know the ingredients you gotta get. So check out. Jenae, do you want to tell us what exactly we need to do to get this thing started?
Yeah, all right, so you're gonna start with the flour, and we also got sugar, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. You're gonna go ahead and whisk those all together. Miles, you're gonna melt the butter. Melt. He was
Jenae
making fun of me.
Melt and not melt.
Melt the butter in the microwave, and then you're gonna go ahead and add the wet ingredients. So we got the milk here, we got vanilla, and then the eggs right here as well. And so what we're gonna do, once those are done, we're gonna throw them all together, and this is gonna be the batter base for the waffles. So while you guys are doing that, like we said, it's Mother's Day today, and so this is something that you guys can make for your moms, like breakfast in bed, even if it's on Monday morning, like Miles was saying. Make your mom breakfast in bed, because what mom does not want breakfast in bed? So while y'all are doing that, I'm gonna dive into a little bit of what we're gonna be talking about today. So we're talking about moms, and I'm gonna share a story, nice one, about my mom. And so my mom is probably one of the most courageous, selfless women that I've ever met. She's a complete boss. And when I think about my mom, one story that kind of comes to mind is how when I went to school, like I grew up in Oregon, and she had me go all the way over to Virginia for school. I got you. And she basically was like, okay, you're going all the way across the country. But she let me go, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna let you go. You're gonna go all the way across. And I don't know too many moms that are like, okay, we're just gonna send our daughter all the way across the country. And she just prayed for me every single day in the midst of that. But as I was going over there, my fourth year of college, I'm like, okay, I want to go to Africa. And so I spent like a semester in Africa. And while I was there, it was really crazy because a bunch of stuff happened.
You tried. You get an A for effort.
And we ended up going through a lot of stuff, and actually ended up getting like attacked and robbed while I was there. And I remember my mom was my biggest rock star throughout this whole thing. While she had every right to kind of freak out and worry and kind of text me freaking out, she didn't. Instead, every single day, she was like encouraging me and praying for me. And she basically took like our neighbors, and she'd walk all around, like miles around our house, and just do these prayer walks with them every day, and would tell me, hey, I walked with our neighbor today. We prayed for you the entire time. And so when I think about my mom, I think about someone who is so courageous and selfless, because in that moment, and why is because she sought God and basically had this faith in him when she had every reason to worry and to kind of be freaking out. And because of her and her prayers, like that's the reason I was able to stay on the field in the first place. But that kind of goes into what we're talking about today, which is Abigail.
Yeah,
which
Abigail.
is one of the most underrated Bible characters of all time, but one of our favorites. And when I think about my mom, someone who is brave and courageous and has faith and is wise and selfless, Abigail is literally the same. It's awesome.
Do you guys know anything about Abigail? And it's totally okay if you don't. Do you know who Abigail is? All right, perfect. So Abigail is, like I said, or like Jenae said, one of our favorite female Bible characters. She is the epitome of bravery, the epitome of wisdom, and in my opinion, the epitome of dopeness in a wife. But before we talk about Abigail, I'm gonna get you to go ahead and start cutting these bananas, and you already are mixing, so we're good to go here, okay? You can go ahead and start throwing those
Good
waffles
stir
onto
skills.
the waffle pan. Now,
Good stir skills.
before I talk about Abigail, as Jenae is getting ready to put these waffles into the waffle iron, she's gonna put them on the pan afterwards. And we have the oven actually already set at 200. So as we're talking, the waffles don't get cold. Well, if you put them in at 200, they don't get too hard, but they stay crisp on the outside and super soft on the inside. So a nice little hint, if you wanna make breakfast for your mom and she's not awake yet tomorrow morning, you can make them, you can put them in the oven at 200 and leave them in there and they'll be perfectly fine. If your mom likes a little crispiness on the outside of her waffle, you'll be good to go. All right, now that the bananas are all cut up, Tristan, you did a really good job, actually. They look almost symmetrical. Well done. All right, so now that the bananas are all said and done, let's talk about Abigail. So Abigail is this amazing woman in the text of scripture, and actually, if you've been following the show, you know that we've been going through 1 Samuel talking about King David. Well, Abigail actually later on in the story becomes King David's second wife. Now, we don't want to dive into polygamy right now, so we won't really dive into why or how that all happened, but I just want you to know Abigail's story of bravery. And so how this all happened is David and his 600 some odd men were protecting Abigail's husband's shepherds. Now, Abigail's husband had like thousands of sheep and thousands of cattle. Now, back in this time, the more sheep and cattle you had, obviously the richer and wealthier you were. So he had all of these sheep and all these cattle, and as David was living in the wilderness, his men protected these shepherds. They didn't know them from Adam. They had no idea who these people were, but they decided to kind of be a fortress around the shepherds of Nabal was his name. Now, Nabal in the text of scripture actually means like stupid or foolish, right? And so he puts this on display in a really, really, really cool way, and we'll see Abigail come to his rescue. So after David protected his shepherds in the wilderness with no reason to, he sent them back home, and then David sent servants to their master Nabal, and he said, hey guys, I want to throw my servants, this is David, I want to throw my servants a party. So servants, go to Nabal, ask him for some sheep, ask him for some cattle, for some bread and for some wine, so that we can have a party, so that we can have a feast together. Well, Nabal's response is what kind of got David a little ticked off. Nabal basically says to David's servants, like, who is this David, son of Jesse? I don't know who this dude is. This dude could be a slave for all I know. How do I know that he protected my servants? Nobody came back and told me this. No, I'm not giving you anything. Go back to your master. And so they left. And they get to David and they tell him everything that Nabal had said, and David was like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill this dude. Like, I protected your servants. I didn't freaking have to. I'm gonna kill him. Well, Nabal actually had some servants that were smart enough and knew that Nabal had a wife in Abigail that was wise enough to honor David. And so they ran to Abigail and they were like, yo, this dude David actually took really, really, really good care of us. He didn't have to. He actually could have killed us and taken the stuff that we had, but instead he protected us. And your husband, he just like cursed him out and he sent his servants off. So he's probably gonna come back and kill us. Can you help? And so the first thing that we see Abigail do as she's introduced to us in the text of scripture is Abigail actually like gets on her donkey and gets like all these sheep and all these cattle, these bread, this wine, and these like cakes, and gets on the road with some of her servants and is like, yo, we gotta meet David before he gets here, because if he gets here, he's gonna kill everybody. And so Abigail is this courageous woman that picks up everything and goes to see David, this like big, strong warrior in all all of his army on the road as they're coming to attack her husband and everything that she owns and take it away. And instead she stands up for her husband, who's obviously foolish. Well, she gets to David and she falls at his feet. She bows at him and is like, I'm so sorry for my husband's actions, apologizing for something that she didn't even do, showing selflessness for her servants because she doesn't want to see them perish, and ultimately showing courage. And so for Jenae and I, Abigail is this like amazing woman that is somebody that obviously loves Jesus because she respected the authority that God had given David, but she also honored her husband, even though her husband didn't really deserve it. And later on in that chapter, we see as God honors Abigail. So Abigail goes back home. Her husband is drunk off his rocker. And so she doesn't even tell her husband that he was like this close to death. Well, the next morning she tells him, hey, so David was on his way here to kill you because you sent his servants away when they protected them and you had no idea. Well, it was in that moment that God literally like struck his heart. Like he had a heart attack. Like the dude, like not like he softened his heart. No, the dude had a freaking like stroke or a heart attack and like passed out and was out for 10 days and then God struck him dead. So he died. So like we see like Abigail, even in the midst of all of this, still honoring her husband, still being respectful, but knowing and understanding, man, like I have a husband, but I'm going to make sure that I can honor the Lord. And so like she is the epitome of like what a kingdom woman looks like, and I think it's somebody that we obviously get to look up to as women in the faith as well. All right, well, now that we know all that we know about Abigail and her bravery, her courage, her wisdom, I want to show you guys how to make this Bananas Foster. So this is probably my favorite part of this entire recipe. So obviously we're going to need these bananas, but first we're going to have to melt some butter. So over here, I have 1/4 cup of butter. All right, we're gonna put this in there first. We're gonna melt this 1/4 cup of butter. Once this butter gets melted down, I'm gonna throw in that brown sugar. Once that brown sugar goes in, what else we have over here? Some cinnamon. We have some rum extract. We have pancake syrup. Shout out Mrs. Butterworth's. That's the right kind to use. You can use so many different kinds, but why choose when we choose for you? And then you also want to use a little bit of pecans if you're not allergic to nuts. And some vanilla that's already in the rum extract. So as I do this, boys, I want to ask you, because I want to get to know the heroes in your life, right? Which are your moms, obviously, because moms are amazing. So Peyton, can you tell me a really courageous, brave, selfless story about your mom?
Yeah. So my mom is currently pregnant, and at the same time, she also has a little one that's 3 years old, and she does a lot around the house while being pregnant and chasing the little one around. So she's always up every morning making sure the house is clean and taking care of my little brother while about to give birth to another baby in June. So
wow.
So she's doing a lot right now.
That's big time. And cutting people's hair while she's at it. And cutting people's hair. Mom cut my and Steven's hair. Did a fantastic job. And your mom. Tristan, can you give me a selfless, brave, or courageous story about your mom, bro?
So when I was younger, she was in college, probably when I was, I don't know, 4, 5, 6. And so she's always been a single mother for a while. So like, she always had like time for me, even though she was in college. So like, I kind of look up to her because she is like a good role model, because she shows what a mom can do, whether you have a father or not, you know? Yeah. And I could tell how much she loves me, you know? Because she always put me first, no matter what position she was in, you know? Yeah. You know, and I really look up to her for that, and I love her so much for being there even now, you know, even still doing that to high school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're so thankful, one, for you guys just being willing to share about your moms. That takes a lot of courage within itself, but we're also thankful to your moms because they've raised up two awesome young men. And so we are thankful for you two moms, for moms, both single moms and moms that have husbands at home. You guys are absolutely amazing, and we want to thank you. You really are. Jenae says it all the time. Moms are rock stars. As soon as Peyton said, my mom's pregnant right now, he could have stopped right there. That in itself, I feel like should have been enough for his mom to be pregnant and to be taking care of him, because I mean, he's alive right now. That's really all you have to ask for. My mom's pregnant and I'm not dead. So like your mom's winning the game right now, and that's absolutely amazing. Well, with that being said, I want to show you how to finish off this Bananas Foster. And so I have this butter that's melted in here. You can see the brown sugar trying to caramelize in here as well. You see that getting all mixed in a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw this cinnamon in there. Cinnamon's gonna go in.
Makes everything better.
Cinnamon does make a lot of things better. I don't know about everything. And then rum and vanilla extract. Those are both gonna go in. And we're gonna let that simmer really, really, really quickly. Well, as this is simmering, I wanna tell you guys about my mom. Now, if you know anything about me, you could probably tell that I was a reckless child and a hard child to raise. That's probably what my mom would tell you, and I apologize to both of my moms actually on a daily basis. But my mom for a while in my life, for a couple of years at least, was a single mom too. When I was about 8 to 10, 11, my mom was a single mom. And so my mom took us to church every single day. Like that's how kind of she raised us. We were in church all day long. Like Monday was prayer meeting after school. Tuesday was Bible study. Wednesday was choir rehearsal. Thursday was kids church. Like every single stinking day we were at church, and she surrounded us with this community that loved us and took care of us while raising my sister and I. And even while doing that, she worked not just one, but she worked 2 jobs, because she also worked with the Air Force and did Air Force Reserves too. And so every once a month out of the week, on the weekend, she would leave and she would go to the Air Force Reserve, and we would stay at home with a babysitter. And she always brought home like food on the table, made sure that we had clothes on our back. Do you guys know what layaway is? You have any idea what layaway is? All right, so layaway is this thing that, like, let's say you bought a really, really, really expensive like suit or jacket or something. There was a store called Value City, which you probably have no idea what that is either. Well, my mom would go, and she knew that like Miles would probably need a suit come springtime for church, right? And so my mom would go, and she would go and buy the suit, get it fitted for me and everything, and then she couldn't pay for it right there, and so she would put it on layaway. And so what they would do is they would keep the suit, and my mom would make payments on it every month until it was paid off, and then we could go and we could grab the suit when it was finally paid off. And she always made sure that every time that I needed something, that it was paid off in time for me to actually have it. My mom always made sure that my sister and I were never in need of anything, and made sure that we stayed ingrained in our faith, but also made sure that we were well taken care of. And so my mom is my superhero forever and always. And so I want to thank moms all over the country, especially moms that keep their family in the faith, that keep that foundation for their family really, really, really strong, just as your moms have done, just as our moms have done, and will always continue to do. Now, as we are continuing this, you'll see right here that this has bubbled up and caramelized just a bit. And so what this asks for now is I'm gonna put these pecans in. You see it bubbling, it looks fantastic. And then I'm gonna throw in these bananas. Now we use 3 bananas, right, Tristan? That's how many you chopped up. All right. And so we use 3 bananas. Let's see if I can not make any of them fall out of here. Oh, it's amazing. It's
So I didn't know
absolutely
this,
amazing.
but it came from New Orleans. I didn't know that.
Nolans?
Nolans.
All right,
And,
so we should have had Gio and Giovanni on the show. And then this is pancake syrup, and
It
that's
was
gonna mix
named
right
after
in
this
there.
guy who had the last name Foster, because I was curious and I looked it up. I'm like,
Oh, go figure. All right, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix this all up until the bananas are soft. Look at that. Oh man. That looks amazing. All right, as the bananas get soft, Jenae, you wanna switch with me? You can go ahead and show everybody how to make the cream, and I'll take over the waffle duty. So Jenae is going over and she's gonna make the finished product. Now this cream only needs 3 ingredients, right, Jenae?
Yep, so we got a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. I always do a little bit extra because I don't think you can ever have too much vanilla. I got 1 cup of heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. Oh yeah. And then right over here, I got 1 tablespoon of confectioner's sugar. And then you go ahead and just whip that up on high, as high as you can possibly do, until you have like stiff peaks form. And this is gonna be the cream on the top. Go ahead and whip that up for a couple minutes. Good.
Yeah. All right, boys. You like bananas?
Yes.
You like waffles?
Potassium.
Potassium, yes, potassium. Yeah, I don't. Neither of you work out, so you don't really need potassium.
I work out.
What do you do, Peyton?
Weightlifting.
What kind of weightlifting?
Biceps, chest.
You're in Mr. Saltel's class? You don't do anything in that class.
I do.
I know for a fact you don't.
He likes to yell.
Yeah, he yells at you often,
It's funny.
doesn't he? He yells at you a lot, probably more than most. You know why? Because you don't lift in that class. All right, so you need your potassium. I don't think you're gonna get any health benefits with this recipe. So moms at home, know and understand that there are probably 0 health benefits to this recipe, all right? This recipe is simply for sweet and savory goodness. Also, you probably need bacon alongside of this recipe. 1, because bacon makes everything better. And then 2, because, well, you get your salty and your sweet. So, as Jenae's doing that, let's get you guys some plates, and we'll be ready to plate up very, very shortly. Jenae, how's that cream coming along, dear?
Almost done.
Almost done. Now, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Cream's done, waffles are done, Bananas Foster is done. So
You
what
can't
we'll
honestly have waffles without cream, in my opinion. So when we first were dating, I remember one time like Miles made breakfast and I only had, I don't remember which syrup, what syrup was it? It wasn't Miss Butterworth's and he flipped out. He was like, are you kidding me? You can't have waffles, pancakes. It's like, I can't do this. So he ran to the store and got Miss Butterworth's.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Because it's the right thing.
It's the right thing to do. All right, boys. Well, your breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it, is all ready to go. Your Bananas Foster Waffles. Now, I think that you're gonna enjoy this, so you can go ahead and dive in. If you are at home today and you have made this recipe, make sure that you DM us, TC3.students, on Instagram or even on Facebook, just TC3 Students. You can easily find us. Now, we want to do one thing for moms today, and that is, students, we ask you to write a letter to your mom just telling her how thankful you are for her. If you're not with your mom, hey, write to a motherly figure in your life and just let them know, hey, this is why I'm thankful for you and this is what you mean to me. Moms all across the country, moms at TC3, we love you so much, super thankful for you, and we can't wait to see you next week on Cooking with, actually, not Miles and Jenae. You're in for a surprise.
Yeah.
So make sure that you tune in next week. It's gonna be amazing. We'll see you next time. How is it? Legit?
It tastes really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.